you need whoever's there. If you've got an interim champ, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? So I don't want to throw heaps of shade, but I mean, look, I know he's proved himself. Everyone's like, oh, look what he's done. It's fine. It's like, yeah, no, not really. Don't hold up divisions just because, you know, I know your resume is incredible. What you've done is incredible. You know, you're considered the greatest of all time. Yeah, we get that. So if you don't want to fight, just retire.
I don't think much about it, but I really do want to fight Tom Aspinall. I just want to meet him here at Dirty Boxing.
So he has to come to a Dirty Boxing event for him to get the fight?
No, we'll fight here at Dirty Boxing.
You'll fight at Dirty Boxing. I like that. All right, John.
Alexander Volkanovski clowns Jon Jones live on air, roasting him for ducking Tom Aspinall and even claiming Dana White booted him out last week. Building on that fiery call-out, Alex Volkanovski shared his views on championship responsibility, emphasizing that holding a belt means staying active and defending it. In his eyes, sitting on the sidelines simply isn't an option. Champions must face whoever is next in line. Volkanovski pointed out that unifying the belts should be a no-brainer when there's an interim title holder. While he praised Jon Jones's incredible resume, he criticized the idea of stalling a division, suggesting that stepping away from the sport might be the better path if Jones isn't willing to fight.
I've always been, if you're the champion, defend your belt. You know, it's a responsibility. You can't just, I'm going to sit out. I think you need to be reasonably active. I think you need to fight whoever's there. If you've got an interim champ, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? So I don't want to throw heaps of shade, but I mean, look, I know he's proved himself. Everyone's like, oh, look what he's done. It's fine. It's like, yeah, no, not really. Don't hold up divisions just because, I know your resume is incredible. What you've done is incredible. You know, you're considered the greatest of all time. Yeah, we get that. So if you don't want to fight, just retire. You're done. Or if you want big fights, you're going to have to vacate the title. Like it's a responsibility. That's how I've always looked at being the champ. It's a responsibility.
Naturally, this led Volkanovski to highlight his enthusiasm for a potential clash between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall, calling it one of the matchups he's eager to see. Volkanovski stressed that this fight needs to happen, especially for Jones, as it would be the ultimate test at a division he moved up to later in his career. In Volkanovski's view, it doesn't get more legitimate than seeing Jones face Aspinall at this stage, in a bout that could truly define his heavyweight legacy.
I mean, the Tom and Jon Jones is definitely one I want to see.
All right.
You know, I just think
I knew it was gonna be that. I knew you were gonna say that.
You got me? Just yeah, man. I think the Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall, that fight is just something that I think needs to happen. Especially for Jon. I know he's already proven himself so many times, but if he can go out and take out Tom, who I believe is the best heavyweight in the world, at Jon's age, at a division obviously heavier than him, against it doesn't get more legit than Tom Aspinall, and that is in heavyweight division. That is while Jon is at a age, like obviously he's a fair bit older. So if he's able to do that, man, I don't think anyone's ever going to be able to top that.
Taking that thought further, Alex voiced his curiosity about how a showdown between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall would play out. He's intrigued by how Jones, with his renowned fight IQ, would approach such a dangerous and well-rounded opponent. Volkanovski expects Jones to lean heavily on his wrestling, but questions how effective that strategy would be against someone like Tom, who poses threats in every area of the fight.
You know what I mean? Like, it's quite impressive what he's done, but if he can do this, man, that's really saying something. I want to see how, because obviously he's got a lot of fight IQ. How does he approach this fight? I think Tom's dangerous everywhere. I think he's going to have to, Jon will have to rely on his wrestling, but how successful can he be at heavyweight against a legit, well-rounded fighter like Tom Aspinall?
On the flip side, Jon Jones made it clear that he's interested in a showdown with Tom Aspinall, though he couldn't resist taking a playful jab at the Brit. Jones teased that he'd like to face Aspinall in a dirty boxing battle, hinting at his confidence in the clinch and close quarters exchanges.
I don't think much about it, but I really do want to fight Tom Aspinall. I just want to meet him here at Dirty Boxing.
So he has to come to a Dirty Boxing event for him to get the fight?
No, we'll fight here at Dirty Boxing.
You'll fight at Dirty Boxing. I like that. All right, John.
Meanwhile, opinions outside the UFC echoed similar sentiments. Dutch kickboxing star and Glory heavyweight champion Rico Verhoeven didn't mince words when sizing up a potential clash between Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones. Verhoeven confidently declared that Aspinall would wipe the floor with Jones, insisting the UFC legend wouldn't stand a chance. He heaped praise on Aspinall's skill set, highlighting that Jones has never shared the cage with someone of Aspinall's caliber, a fighter so complete and dangerous in every aspect of the game.
He's gonna wipe the floor. He's gonna wipe the floor with Jon Jones.
You believe
Jon Jones doesn't have a chance versus Tom Aspinall. Mark my words. Tom Aspinall is a freaking monster.
I love it.
On his feet and on the ground. So, and I truly believe that Jon Jones has never faced somebody that is that good on his feet. On the ground, he's faced some guys that are pretty good, but on his feet, I think Tom is, yeah, I don't. He would even do good in the kickboxing ring. He would be a top competitor for to fight me as well.
Adding to the intrigue, Tom Aspinall addressed the uncertainty surrounding his next move, explaining that due to the legal nature of his UFC contract, he's unable to reveal who or when he'll be fighting. Despite the situation, Aspinall remains hopeful that everything will fall into place, and that the path ahead will lead to the opportunities he's been working towards.
I've got a fight coming up soon, so I can't say anything else other than that, really. But I think, I really believe it's going to come good in the end and everything's going to work out for the best, so we look forward.
Reflecting on his own journey, Tom spoke about the unanswered questions that still drive him in the sport. He admitted he's curious about how he'd perform in the later rounds of a fight, but joked that the problem is his opponents never seem to last that long, leaving him without the chance to find out.
There's always something. I think, how am I going to look later in a fight? That would be nice to know. And I've said that for a long time. The issue is my opponents aren't on board with that. So I'd like to know that. That'd be nice. But I don't want to do too much of that. You know, just one time would be fine. And I don't like every fight is like its own little challenge of, you know, you got a different guy across from you who brings different challenges. How do you deal with that kind of guy? And then different circumstances come with that, whether it be time difference, you fight in another, everything. I learned everything about myself from MMA. I think the main thing that I've learned from MMA is like how determined I am.
Furthermore, Tom Aspinall made his stance crystal clear. He stated that it's never been about the money, the fame, or even the championship belts. At the heart of it all, Aspinall's drive comes from his love for the fight itself. While rankings and recognition are part of the journey, his true purpose in the UFC is simple: to compete and test himself against the very best.
We're gonna fight soon, so that's nice, but for like the last kind of 6 months, I've just not known what's going on. Do you know what the worst bit is? Is like, you know this yourself, it's like money, fame, titles, rankings, all that aside, I just love fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
I just like fighting people. That's what I got into it for. I didn't get into it for anything else. All the other stuff is just like nice to have on top. I want to be the best fighter I can be. I love it. I'm in the gym every day. I just want to fight. That's been taken away from me for like nearly a year now, and that's got nothing to do with me, which is, it's a bit frustrating, to be honest, but we are nearly over it now, which is good.
No, I've
just been. You know what? That's actually one of the positives that's come out of it is when you've got a fight, you're training for a guy, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're training for one guy. I've just been training to get better, which is great. Do you know what I mean? I've been like improving and that, and I'm someone who's in the gym constantly anyway. Like I'll train twice a day if I've got a fight or not. Obviously, the intensity increases if I do have a fight soon.
Meanwhile, Corey Sandhagen weighed in on the heavyweight picture, stating that Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is the matchup fans are eager to see. In Sandhagen's view, if there's one fight left that truly makes sense for Jones, it's a showdown with Aspinall, the bout that could define this chapter of Jones's career.
Yeah, that's the fight that we all want to see here. You know, if there's a fight for Jon, it's against Tom.
Also, I want to say one thing.
Supporting that sentiment, Amanda Nunes shared her belief that Jon Jones will be making his return to the octagon soon, suggesting that his time away was likely just a break while he handled other matters. Nunes added that she'd love the opportunity to compete on the same card as Jones and Tom Aspinall, calling it the kind of event that would be huge for the sport.
I think he's gonna come back soon, you know? I think Jon only take time off, you know? He might have some things going on, but like, I love to fight in the same card, you know? That would be awesome. I always have a good luck when joining the fight, in the card, you know? So, I hope he hears that.
Go ahead.
Yet, not everyone is convinced Jones deserves patience anymore. Michael Bisping admitted that staying patient with Jon Jones has become a challenge, citing the champion's ongoing antics as increasingly hard to ignore. While Bisping has made an effort to remain respectful and avoid crossing the line, Jones's behavior has tested that restraint. Between the delays, mind games, and mixed signals, Bisping suggested that keeping composure in the face of it all is becoming a tall order.
Rundown, Jon Jones tweeted up a storm saying he's retired, saying he wants Francis.
Oh, yeah.
I can't keep up, we can't keep up, and we talk about it every week, but this is worth talking about. So, do you have like a play? First of all, Tom isn't an English black belt. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. There isn't an English black belt. That doesn't exist. He is a black belt. He does have a ground game. He has submitted many people. But this kind of pivoting and going after Francis Ngannou, I don't know what to say. I don't want to be too offensive. He's the heavyweight champion of the world. He's the greatest of all time. I'm trying to not talk too much shit. It's like, bro, it doesn't matter. Francis Ngannou, by the way, has been beaten along the way by Derek Lewis. You know what I'm saying? Every week, it just gets murkier and murkier.
Yeah, and we said it last week where, you know, that when he when he was asked at that seminar that he was doing, and he's like, oh, it's in the UFC's hands, and we've both signed agreements saying that we won't say anything. The UFC is going to announce it. And we got a little bit excited thinking, maybe this means that there's going to be a date.
Adding to the chorus of frustration, the MMA guru himself unloaded on the media, contending they failed to adequately pressure UFC President Dana White on the current heavyweight title quagmire. The MMA guru asserted that it was the prime moment to truly grill White, pointing out clear signs of White's patience, fraying amidst the ongoing controversy.
UFC President Dana White has finally showed up back to work, and he was grilled at the UFC 316 post-fight press conference by the media. They didn't push hard enough. I thought this was the time to truly break Dana White, but Dana White is breaking regarding the whole Jones and Aspinall situation. You can see that he's starting to lose his patience with Jon Jones because of Jon Jones, Dana White has to be grilled by the media anytime he shows up to these things, which is why, in my opinion, he hasn't been showing up to these press conferences as of recently, because he knows what questions he's gonna get.
Echoing that frustration, the Wade Concept shared his dismay with the ongoing Jon Jones saga, noting that the situation doesn't make much sense to anyone outside of Jones and his inner circle. He pointed out that even now, fans and analysts are left with few clear answers about where Jones stands in the UFC or within the heavyweight division. The uncertainty, he suggested, continues to cloud the future of one of the sport's biggest names.
The Jon Jones saga continues, and I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to anybody outside of a couple things that maybe you could say. But as of today, June 10th, 2025, we still have, I don't want to say no answers, relatively no answers on Jon Jones and his whereabouts and where he will be as far as the UFC is concerned in their heavyweight division. The most important division in combat sports. There's some developments. They don't really answer any questions, but Dana White finally was in front of the media. So this is the first time we've heard him speak about the whole Jon Jones situation and what's going on with what happens next with Jones, what happens next with the heavyweight division.
Doubling down, Wade didn't hold back in his take on the Jon Jones situation, stating outright that Jones is completely and utterly ducking Tom Aspinall. Wade pointed out that efforts are already underway for a second attempt at making the fight happen, but questioned what more can be done. In his view, if Jones's demands have already been met, only for him to say yes and then back out, there's little left to debate, leaving the matchup stuck in limbo.
This, to me, changes a lot of things. From it just being the UFC's not doing their job. And again, I'm still on that bandwagon. The UFC needs to do something about this, but this is a clear duck at this point. Point blank, period. There is no other way to say it. John is completely and utterly ducking Tom Aspinall, and the UFC is letting him get away with it because they're trying to, I guess, make a second attempt at making this fight. But if you've already met the man's demand and he says yes, then says no, what else is there to say? What else is there to even go back and forth with? It's over. You've gotten to the point where he is not willing to cooperate, and instead of taking your belt back from him, you'd rather just do this?
Furthermore, the Wade concept emphasized that Jon Jones's reluctance to face Tom Aspinall is now starting to impact his legacy. Wade argued that by not simply declining the fight outright, Jones is sending a clear message, one that suggests fear rather than strategy. He pointed out that it's difficult to view Jones as the greatest of all time when he's unwilling to compete but also refuses to vacate the belt, a move that's beginning to tarnish his reputation in the eyes of fans in the sport.
And your legacy's fine. Or you had the opportunity to play your game with the UFC, ask for your 10 to 20 to 30 million, see if they'd bite, and then ultimately, if they did, we have the fight. But when you say, yes, okay, that's the number I want, I'm ready to go, and then say, you know what, never mind, that starts to me, it just is like, okay, you clearly are either scared or you don't like this fight. It's hard to start seeing you as, or I guess keep seeing you as the GOAT when you don't want to fight, yet you don't want to give the belt up.
Building on that, Chael Sonnen shared his thoughts on the stalled Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall matchup, stating that the fight has lost some of its luster compared to where it stood just 3 months ago. With the continued delays and no clear confirmation that it's happening, Sonnen observed that the buzz around the bout is fading fast, as the entire situation has slowed to an almost complete crawl.
Guys, I have never seen a fight that we've wanted that we've then been denied. No different than the girl at school that you're chasing and she's telling you no. Lose steam. This fight is a smaller fight now than it was 3 months ago. Aspinall versus Jones, which, by the way, I don't maintain for that it could be resurrected one press conference or one Instagram live by Dana. I'm just sharing for you right now. Jones and Aspinall was not only hotter 3 months ago, it was hotter than that 5 months ago, and it is coming to an almost crawl.
Backing up Tom Aspinall, True Geordie delivered a blunt critique of Jon Jones's role in the heavyweight division. He argued that Jones isn't just harming his own legacy with his inaction, he's also holding the entire UFC back. True Geordie highlighted the growing frustration as the division remains stuck, while Jones entertains matchups that do little to push the sport forward or offer fans the meaningful showdowns they've been waiting for.
The UFC at this point. I said recently, if you're not going to fight Tom Aspinall, just retire, mate, because he's been holding up the heavyweight division for the longest time, not just with inactivity, but also ridiculous, wasteful, pointless fights like that Stipe Miocic fight. And the UFC desperately needs stars right now when we've got one in Tom Aspinall, but we're not doing anything with him. He's not being allowed to fly the way he should do because this guy's ego won't allow it. You see, he doesn't want to retire, even though he's got an interim champion that he should be dealing with if he wants to remain champion. He's like, Lord, just strip me. I'll still fight anyway. He clearly wants to carry on fighting, in my opinion. He just doesn't want to fight the most dangerous, threatening man. Where he's carrying himself now as a champion, it is without doubt the most embarrassing way I've ever seen a champion conduct themselves in a title reign.
True Geordie doubled down on his criticism of Jon Jones, calling out the champ for trolling both fans and fellow fighters with sarcasm and a clear lack of seriousness about the situation. In Geordie's view, Jones's lighthearted antics go beyond immaturity. They come across as downright insulting to the supporters who have stood by him, only to be met with mockery instead of meaningful action in the division.
The way he's going about avoiding that fight and the way he's speaking right now, it's so disrespectful, not only to the UFC, but to every single fan he's got left, because he's making them all look like idiots, by the way, with them having to support a guy who's literally behaving like a coward as a heavyweight world champion. And it's just so detrimental to the UFC. You look at boxing right now. Boxing's never been stronger, up and down the divisions, but the heavyweight division is flying, and it's because it's being led by a great champion in Alexander Usyk, who is taking taking on all comers. And by the way, it's not enough to just beat his best contenders once. He meets them twice just to make damn sure.
And there you have it. As fans wait for clarity, the question remains, will Jones finally step up, or will this heavyweight showdown fade into what could have been territory? Either way, the clock is ticking, and the legacy of a legend hangs in the balance. Is Jones protecting his legacy, or running from the biggest test of his career? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe for more fight game drama, predictions, and exclusive takes. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, and we will see you in the next video with more exciting updates.